The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
1420 Sports Bar Podcast, for beer of the sports talk and a whole lot more. Join host Brent as he bellies up to the bar and gets the conversations going that'll make you think you're sitting in your local watering hole. It's sports, beer, and shenanigans, so sit back, grab a few beers, and let's get into it. The 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, for beer of sports talk and a whole lot more. Yankees week continues here at the Sports Bar. Tonight's show, as always, brought to you by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420SEAT at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 on your first purchase. Remember, we're a part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to bellyupsports.com for all their great articles and other great podcasts, such as my guys over that No Credentials Required. A great show. We had a little collaboration. Today, we are joined by a Yankee fan, another Yankee podcaster, Lynn from the Upper Deck Podcast, talk about the trials and tribulations, to say the least, of being a Yankee fan this week. Lynn, you're fresh off your show this morning. You got a little bit of rest. You watched your Buffalo Bills, and now we're going to talk some Yankees baseball. How you doing?
I'm doing really good, Brent, and thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited to be with you tonight.
No, should be a lot of fun. The down 2-0 so far. The Yankees are a couple of games that they, like last night, the Saturday night game 2. They came up a little lame. They made a good comeback in the ninth. So they thought they were going to win, but that game 1, the Garret Cole start, like we talked off air a little bit, wasting that Garret Cole start. Take us back to Lynn's thought process and about I think it was the 7th inning. What happened there when Garret Cole came out, when Aaron Boone out the mound and Garret Cole was coming out? What was your thought process there?
Well, it was utter disbelief. I thought, okay, maybe this is one of those give Cole a minute, because he was at 88 pitches. It never even occurred to me that this was the tug. And I think that there was just a gasp heard around Yankee fandom. I think it made sense to nobody. It made zero sense whatsoever. There was absolutely nothing that Cole was showing in the difference of his location and his command. And so, especially where we were on the other side of the team at that point, keep him in, keep our ace in. How insulting to pull him when he did on the world stage.
Yeah, you don't get paid for your playoff appearances, but that's why they paid the guy $320 or $330 or whatever $1 million it is for a start like that. And they got the start that they wanted. 88 pitches, gave up the 1 run. Oh well. Then go to we'll get to how the rest of the game played out. But I was completely shocked that they made that move, because you really want to use your horses. That's why he was there. You want to use your guys, and you want to make sure you have a chance to win it. And Cole gave him that chance to win, and I was quite shocked. It's tough opening for sure, and then end up losing. The next confusing thing to me was when Nester Cortez was brought out in the 10th inning. I don't know about that one either, Lynn. I don't know what your thought on that one was, because the Tim Hill's been so great out of the bullpen. The bullpen's been really good throughout these playoffs, and all of a sudden to go to Nester Cortez, who hasn't pitched a lot to live batting for 28, 29 days, whatever it was, and then actually to make me even more upset after the game, Boone's explanation, well, he looked good in the bullpen. Well, Tim Hill looked really good towards live batting. I didn't understand that move. What was your thoughts when Nasty Nester came out?
I was very happy to see Nester on the roster, and I thought, okay, you know what, this is smart. Although we haven't seen him since September 18th, this is smart, because they're thinking bullpen game or some facsimile of it, and he's gonna come in, for like the middle innings, relief, and just give him 3 outs and get him out of there. The last thing that I ever would have thought of is what we got. And so Boone has made, the thing about Boone is he was a great surprise during the postseason, during the DS and the CS. I don't think there was much to complain about with his decisions. And I think, and we talked about this a little bit on the Upper Deck this morning. This is really his first World Series. And so I don't know if it was nerves. I don't know if the wrong person was on the other end of the phone that told him to go do that. But it, and it was really unfair to Nester. And proved out. Yeah, you know what? That sim games and looking good in the practice doesn't really equate to like actually doing the thing.
Yeah, pitching a sim game when no one's watching, all of a sudden you're in front of 50,000 at Dodger Stadium in the 10th inning, and you haven't pitched a couple in a month and on. There's a lot going on there that I don't think that I'd be able to handle between my own ears, let alone anybody else. I was completely shocked. Like as bad as the outcome was of that game one, losing what was the final was 6-3 with the Freddie Freeman grand slam.
Yes.
The only thing I took a lot of solace, not even a little bit of solace. I took a lot of solace in the fact that the Yankees or the Dodgers only got what the Yankees gave them. And so the Yankees had a shot to win that game. They should have won that game. The lazy error by Torres at second base with advanced Ohtani to third, but just the little things, the pitching change that shouldn't have happened. The Dodgers they capitalized. That's what good baseball teams do. The Dodgers capitalized, but the Yankees, if they would have just played 3% better, they get that. They win game one and they get that split that Yankee fans are hoping for going back to the Bronx.
Right.
What's your thoughts on that? Like they just had to play a little bit better. Like 3 mistakes was all it was.
Right. And the only thing I would add to what you say is the other thing that Boone did that was really a mistake. And I don't think this is just hindsight here, is pulling Torres out and putting Cabrera in.
I didn't understand that at all.
And I am a Cabrera bandwagoneer. I've been furious at how underutilized he's been the whole postseason. But this was not the time or the right moment. And really, Torres, this isn't the time to put him in timeout. So yes, bad play and costly. And although Cabrera has been really lights out at first, as far as I'm concerned, bad error on his part, that was also pivotal for the end of the game.
Well,
so
that's the thing. It's like, okay, because Torres' bat's been pretty good. Like really, he's been getting on base quite a bit. So what happens if it went to the 11th inning, 12th inning, and all of a sudden, Gleyber Torres is getting his butt spanked because he made an error. That was a big mistake and then putting a guy in for a defensive substitution that late in the game. I don't think that ever works. It's not ever. I shouldn't say ever because it's probably happened once or twice in the history of baseball. But to throw a guy in there, it's just like, what are you doing here? Like, quit being the smartest guy in the room. We talked about Aaron Rodgers off air being the smartest guy in the room. It must be an Aaron thing because Aaron Boone was all of a sudden making these changes. You're like, what are you doing?
Yeah. And he loves to play chess. We see it all season long, playing around with the lineup all the time and that kind of thing. This is not the time to make these sort of machinations. Stick with the formula, the guy, and no, you don't take those kind of risks and gambles. And in his head, I'm sure he didn't think of it that way, but it was just out of the norm, and you got to expect that, and roll with it. But at the same time, Gleyber's not the one, and Gleyber doesn't need that in his head either, because he's been an outstanding leadoff guy.
I've always liked him. Remember since they got him from the Cubs in that trade for Chapman back in 2016? I've always liked Gleyber Torres. I've always liked him.
Yep. Yeah. So, really bad move there. So, this we're going to be saying a lot of 0 cents during this discussion, I think.
Yeah.
Because there was a whole lot of nonsense in both games. But, game one hurt in the way that it ended. It hurt starting with Nester. But it hurt in the way it ended. And, that was the gut punch night one for me, was, that it ended in that spectacular walk-off fashion.
I was a little revved up on caffeine yesterday when I did my morning show, and I had a few choice words to say about Aaron Judge. It's just I was a little caffeined up.
I watched that.
You will. I get a little revved up sometimes, not often anymore, my old age, but we aren't talking about any of this stuff, any of it. We're not talking about the pitching changes. We're not talking about Gleyber Torres. We're not talking about Nester Cortez coming in the 10th inning at all. And it's the elephant in the room, and Yankee fans don't want it. Well, I think Yankee fans want to talk about it a little bit, but the baseball world doesn't talk about it a whole bunch. But if Aaron Judge is just okay at best, 1 for 3, 1 for 5, like you got the one base hit. But if he does, I'm not talking a home run. If he does anything, we're not talking about any of this other stuff. If Aaron Judge can get off the schneid a little bit and get a hit or a home run, I'm not asking for a home run all the time. That's impossible. But something of substance. We're not talking about any of this stuff there, Lynn.
That's right, because as we know, as Judge goes, the rest of the team goes, and it's fortunate that Soto and Stanton are still doing their thing. Even though Judge is floundering. But, this is really Judge in the postseason.
It's not a surprise.
So it's not a surprise. And yet I think the reason why it feels like a surprise is because of, the number 62 mystique and the 58 home runs he hit during the season. And I think that those expectations were exponentially higher going into this one, because of everything he's accomplished the past few years, being named captain because of it. And he has to be in his own head. I think that this is all mental stuff. And I think during last night's presser, he said that he has to figure it out, and that, the team's relying on him and he's not doing his job for the team. And actually his words were, "I'm failing them." And so you're carrying that to the plate with you. It's a heavy load, but you gotta figure it out. You gotta figure it out. It's not okay to be 1 for 9 in the postseason. So it's not what you want, as Joe Girardi used to say.
It's not what you want. And the great Mariner Rivera once said, pinstripes are heavy. And I think Aaron Judge finds that in the postseason more than anybody, because he does have such great regular season success, and it doesn't always translate into the postseason. And the thing is, when it doesn't, especially in New York fans can be a little bit tough. And I saw on Twitter today, right, don't boo. Yeah, of course, don't boo.
We're the worst. I'll admit
they're the worst. It's awful. Like, even when you could win 161 games with that one loss would be the disaster. Everything's going to happen. So you're always finding the worst. But it's Boone's having or Judge is having a struggle. And you got it. They wouldn't be in the playoffs without him. They're not a very great offensive team. Like Stanton, like regular season Stanton's can be borderline awful at times, and the Yankees would not be where they are without Aaron Judge. They wouldn't make I wouldn't say they wouldn't make the playoffs, but they wouldn't be winning divisions by any means. And so you just got, this guy has to, like, eventually you think he has to get out of it. Like he's too good not to. Is my thought. He's just too good not to, and getting a home run, just maybe a cheapie out to the short porch tomorrow night might be something that's all my take.
Yeah, I even think just a very good line drive, and just to get on the base again and have a productive, although he did get that one hit in the World Series so far, he just, obviously leaving the park will really be the best of all. But to have a 2-hit game, feel like he's got his stuff back. I don't know what conversations are happening and what they're looking at adjusting beyond his mindset. I don't see any change in the mechanics at the plate other than lay off that first pitch. And Judge has been doing that. I don't have the exact numbers, but and this is my beef with the whole team. Actually, there's a whole lot of that going on. And Judge, for all his cool demeanor, and his very low key way, is really pressing at the plate. And I think it's because of this urgency that he's the captain and he's got to be, the star.
Well, speaking of swing at the first pitch, a certain someone's swung at the first pitch. He hasn't swung a bat in a week, and he comes up first pitch and flies out in the end of the game last night. I thought that was an odd. I thought that was odd too. Why is Jason Dominguez on the roster if they're not going to use him?
That's right.
Why?
Why? You had so many other options, and you want to talk about guys that haven't been playing on the regular. And Nester's in September 18th for the other example. Trevi's been summarily benched for a really long time. Yeah. And Wells, not that Wells has been the hot shot. That could be. Yes, you just said it all right there. But that I think that was the WTF heard round the world when Trevino came up, because you're right. We had Jason. We had Cabrera. You could have had that lefty-lefty matchup if you wanted it. You're so big on it, Boone. Why weren't you even thinking about that? You have Grisham still on the roster. So, and Grisham, we could say a lot about how, he's all about the glove. It's really the big reason why we got him. But he'd been clutch, several times during the season. Basically anyone but what they did. Again, is there a -0, Brent? Is there such a thing?
Lynn, I was shocked last night. First off, I was saying, okay, well, when Stanton got on, Stanton not fleet of foot, probably runs like I do. And I was thinking, mate, and then the broadcasters, I don't think have been great, because I watched the Smoltz, and yeah, not my favorite, but we're on the same page here, Lynn. I like you a lot already. We've only known each other for 23 minutes so far, but I was thinking, okay, maybe because you need that run. I know the run doesn't mean a whole bunch, but every run means a lot. And so you have to push Stanton across him, because if you push runs across, then it puts more pressure on the defense. And I didn't understand why they didn't pinch run for Stanton. I maybe you're different. I was just kind of odd with that one, because yes, you need more runs, but yes, you need more runs. Like I get it. And you can't play for the 10th inning if you don't get the 10th inning.
That's right.
I was just like, what am I missing here? I know I'm a 50-year-old Canadian who's never played a game of professional baseball in his life, but I was just thinking, you need to push these runs across. You need to steal a base, because they had some opportunities last night to do that because they had a little bit of, they had some juice cooking in the ninth, and I was excited because the rest of the game got one hit until the ninth, and I was excited, and I was saying, okay, steal a base, maybe bunt a guy over, whatever, some old time baseball, and then they just didn't.
Right. And so again, I'm going to say Cabrera wasn't being utilized. Have him come in and pinch run. Ellis, you brought Ellis on the roster for the CS for the sole purpose of pinch running for Giancarlo, for basically. And you don't have that. Cabrera's fast on the bags and smart on the bags. So I know we're both, sort of armchair managing here. But I think we have some objectivity, like watching all of this. But we're certainly not in Boone's head. Thank God. But, that would be a very scary place, it seems. But just really bad decisions, both games. And game 1 and game 2 hurt in different ways. But going back to Judge for a minute, you basically quoted Michael Kay on the post-game show, because he said Judge is too good for what's going on right now. And so that's really the key to the series right now is we got to hope that coming back home. And you know what? I have a feeling, I haven't spoken to him lately, but I have a feeling Judge is kind of nervous about coming back home because we're not easy. And fans have not, shamefully so, not been shy about booing our own players. They better not do that to my captain, man. They better be
I think it would be a really bad look considering what he has done and like how good he is. And I think it would be a bad look on Yankee fans if they did boo him. I think what Judge needs is to get out of his own head, maybe go on a little bit of a slump buster and go and drink a dozen beers somewhere tonight by himself somewhere in some remote tavern somewhere and just get out and just forget about it somehow. I don't mean he's a 6'8" man. So he's not going to be able to hide it, especially in Manhattan or New York or anywhere really. But to find some dark hole and just drown his sorrows a little bit and just forget about it. And just something, just some kind of a slump buster, because it's hard. I can't imagine the pressure that guy is feeling. The contract he signed, the Yankees finally back in the World Series, and now you're down 2-0. And me, I'm just as much to blame. I sat down here on Saturday morning and down the Yankee Tavern North saying how that was his fault. That's my opinion, so I'm entitled to it. And then on top of this stupid podcast, I can broadcast it. But yeah, it's got to be tough. You just hope that he can find a way to get out of it. Because if he was okay, the Yankees are at minimum tied one game apiece right now. And 2-0 and 1-1 is obviously it's a huge difference. Huge.
And yet at the same time, we really can't afford minimum because, even though, statistically, even if statistically, I should say, the Dodgers are the better team statistically.
Yeah.
Now, stats are stats, and I am not a stat geek. Probably the opposite of it. But, but their bullpen is better than ours. The one thing we do have in our favor that we really need to take advantage of in the Bronx is that their rotation is literally 2 guys. We just went through them. So it's going to be bullpen games.
They're going to have Walker Buehler in his tight pants going tomorrow night, and then bullpen game on Tuesday, I think it is. So
yeah, Tuesday will be the bullpen game. Yeah, so thanks for clarifying that for me. But and Schmidt and Buehler are very well matched to each other for whatever that means in terms of their records. So it gives us an opportunity, to take advantage of Buehler not having the best numbers thrown down whatsoever, and doing their work on what he brings and be ready for it.
Being down 2-0 is nothing new for the New York Yankees. Yankees fans when they started their dynasty way back. I know this doesn't mean anything to the current roster at all. But 1996, down 2-0, they lost the first 2 at home, and I thought Steinbrenner was going to fire Torrey after the first 2 games of the World Series. Personally, I thought that was going to happen, but they lose the first 2 at home, go to Atlanta, win 3. But the thing that happened then was Joe Torre made some changes. He sat Wade Boggs. He put in Charlie Hayes. I think that Cecil Fielder went into first base, and then Darryl Strawberry ended up playing for Paul O'Neill, who was injured, ailing a little bit. So he made some changes in that lineup. I mean, you're adding some, pretty decent players in there. But the Yankees, I would like to see them make a change. And I know that everybody's scared of Dominguez's glove a little bit, but you know what? And Verdugo's glove has been very good. I don't get me wrong on that. It has. He made some unbelievable plays.
I mean, that Derek Jeter play into the stands.
But he can't hit. He can't hit. And the sooner this season's done, we never have to see Verdugo in pinstripes ever again. It'll be soon enough for me. But the Yankees need to start scoring some runs. Do you see some kind of lineup changes happening and maybe not just guys in the lineup, but is there going to be something in the lineup that changes? Is Judge going to go down hitting 5th maybe? Just something to juice things up a little bit, because this is a pea shooter offense right now.
Well, Donald, who co-hosted with me this afternoon, had a really good point. He really feels like they should be putting Stanton before Judge. And, so because it was an embarrassment for Judge to be pitched around. And it wasn't because, he got pitched around plenty when he was going for 62. Mm-hmm. And when he was a true menace the season after that. That's not why it happened this time around, and he knows it. So, that's one. I just don't know if they'll do it, because Judge was pretty demanding about the order he wanted before, when they signed Soto. He's like, he calls it out. He's like, Soto sets me up and I take things from there. But you know what?
But you're not.
What?
And he's not, though, is the
And
thing.
he's not, though. And Boone has to get past that people pleasing stuff. And you're my best friend, good old buddy, and man up and be a leader of your own. I think that there's too much coalescing, and I mean, again, I'm not in the clubhouse, but I know that Torrey told things like it was and made those tough decisions. And clearly Boone has not shown that throughout, really any of his years, at least in terms of production and what we're seeing on the other end of it. So, and you know what? I think they need to think about um, giving Rizzo a break. I think that Rizzo really, so he's he's kind of like Doogie in the sense that you want him on that bag, you need him on that bag, but at the plate, also just not really producing. You got to wonder what's still going on.
If he didn't get hit by pitches, he wouldn't get on base.
Yep. Yep. That's the quickest way of saying it. And so, all right, we lost Birdie. I mean, lost is a very loose term here. But so again, you have Cabrera to stick there, and give Rizzo some time off. I think in terms of the order, I would have thought that we should have done something with Volpe. I was thinking that at the start of this series, either bringing him up to help with the top five, or bringing him down to 9 again. And, so that you're the setup man, but I don't feel that way anymore. So I'm a little bit at a loss.
You think about it, Lynn, the Yankees, a 9-person batting order, they're getting nothing out of Verdugo. They're getting nothing out of Judge, and they're getting nothing out of Wells. So 1/3 of their line, they're getting nothing. And I'm not even being disgruntled Yankee fans. Like nothing. 25 times 0 is 0 every time, no matter what. And getting nothing for them. And this isn't new. This isn't just World Series. In the ALCS, same thing. Nothing out of those guys. Like I think Wells is hitting like 100 right now. Like he can't even fall into a hit. So for them to be in the spot that they're in is kind of is pretty good for Stanton. Well, it's been the Stanton show. I actually had a guy on the other day. We were discussing this. And you're a longtime Yankee fan, obviously, and you seem logical. Is Giancarlo Stanton slowly, if they can win one, they can pull this off. Is Giancarlo Stanton slowly whittling his way into getting himself a plaque out in Monument Park?
Oh, I think the writing's on the wall, no pun intended. Yeah. Listen, Stanton is baking a cake for Hall of Fame. And that's shocking people to hear, but he is this close to Hall of Fame. And so maybe not.
He'll have over 500 home runs.
Yeah. So exactly. And so, and I think people forget that and underappreciate him because he really is here for the postseason. It's why they have him, and so then I think they knew that in some sense when they got him, and they got him out of a nowhere team. But that's been his way all the way along. Lights on in the postseason. But you know what? When you have everyone else, lights down, and you haven't paid the bill for your electricity bill in a few months, you need that. And you're right. There are 2 men carrying the team, and it's Soto and Stanton. And that's not sustainable.
No, it's not, because you can pitch on those guys. Done. Put them on.
Right.
Put them on. Done. Like it's crazy. Like Torres has been okay, but the rest of that, I don't know what you're getting. And like Jazz been a little bit better. He was non-existent in the ALCS after flapping his gums in there. I think they're fortunate to be here right now, because even that ALCS, a couple of games with the Guardians could have went either way, and it was a 5-gamer, but my God, it was a lot closer than a 5-gamer. It was. I was listening to your show or watching your show this morning, and they're talking about, and this is another thing I can't stand about Fox, because I'm schmuck, but how they keep, well, first off, they said, and this, because I was doing something, I kind of watched the pregame show, and then they said, I can't remember how they worded it, I'll paraphrase here, but they said, Volpe took the torch from Derek Jeter, and I whoa, well, he didn't. He didn't, because there was a guy who played a pretty good shortstop for quite a while for the Yankees by the name of Didi Gregorius. So that's the first, because I love Didi.
Thank you.
Because I thought Didi was the perfect replacement for Jeter. They weren't going to win in 2015, but the way that Didi had character, played well, had some charisma, I thought he was a perfect replacement for Jeter. So it wasn't Volpe who took over for Jeter, for starters. And let's quit just the kids from New York. Let's not anoint him the next captain of the New York Yankees or the next Derek Jeter. That's so I agreed with you guys this morning on that a lot.
Yeah, and let's remember that he's a kid.
He's a kid.
In 2009, he was at the parade and he was about 12. And here he is 15 years later in the World Series. You can't get in a kid's head that way. And we should, maybe that's part of what's playing. And, I don't know if the Yankees have a team psychiatrist, but,
I think you should, if they don't, you should apply, Lynn. Like you take over quite well for that.
Thank you. I would jump at the opportunity. But I don't even play a psychiatrist on a podcast. But, the thing is, you got to remember this is his first World Series. And he's young, and they made him like the second coming when they brought him up from AAA. And so there's been a lot of pressure him all the way through, which he's handled really very well. But I'm not surprised by the choking in the World Series. And to, Smoltz, you know what? You're a Hall of Famer, my guy. Like, be happy about that and be a little bit kinder to your fellow man. I just, frankly, I sing to John and Susan on WFAN. I just cannot watch. I just cannot listen to them during the game.
I actually last night, I said it on Friday. Me and the wife were sitting down here watching the game, and I said, I can't listen to this anymore. I said, tomorrow night we'll listen to John and Susan. But then I thought, no, I'm going to listen. And then about the third inning last night, I tapped in John and Susan. I hit pause a little bit because the feeds are just off just a little bit.
Yeah,
so we listened to John and Susan last night after the fourth inning, and that's what I'm going to be for the rest of the World Series. Like I can't with Schmoltz. I just can't anymore.
No, and the way he talked about Stanton at the end of the ALCS, and like he's made him sound like he's decrepit and he has nothing left in him. And, can't move, can't run, but he still has his bat and manages to come through, and said it at every opportunity, basically saying he's cooked, he's on his way to the geriatric home, and what a glorious moment that he could produce at the plate still. No,
yeah,
sorry.
Schmoltz was a Hall of Famer, but I laugh at those. Like I talk about it all the time, whether it's just amongst friends or amongst the podcast or whatever it might be. Atlanta, king or third world country. The Braves, those teams, they won one, right? All those championships, everything else, they're kind of like the Dodgers are right now. Yeah, you win the American or the National League East all those years, and then you end up winning one World Series all those years. Like you don't have much room for talk here, big boy. Like it's just I don't know.
It's been since 1981 for you, but at least for us to match up. But going back to the whole, 2 games down, there's actually 10 World Series teams that ended up winning the World Series in history that came back from that two loss deficit. And of those 10, 4 of them were Yankee wins. So 96 being one of them, but there were 3 others where they came back from this deficit. So it's not insurmountable. It's not impossible. And a home field advantage would have been great. If we'd been first seed over the Dodgers, great. It's unfortunate that when we win, it won't be at home. But these 3 games in the stadium are really going to be the difference maker, I think, here.
I think. Well, let's do this. I was going to leave this for half a second, but if the Yankees can come back and win, what's your thoughts? What's got to happen?
Well,
score more runs to their team. Real simple one.
Try that. For starters, take advantage of Bueller. Make him tired. Tire the guy out. He, low ERA, low experience. And you know what that means though? Reading your pitches better.
Mm-hmm.
Know what to expect. Don't first swing. And just be patient at the plate. Make him work for it, to get to that pitch that you'll do something with. They have not been canny about that at all. So get them tired early, and force it to be a bullpen game tomorrow night. And then really leverage the bullpen game on Tuesday night. And so, that would be one thing. The other thing is quite obvious. Figure it the frig out, people. Um, I'm really hoping that there's serious one-on-one meetings and some serious mechanical work going on, and some talking. Yeah, I would have them on a couch talking to them, but they got to get their head squared away. The rest of them, and it starts with the mechanics, and maybe then the head will follow. But Judge has to come in, and game one, if he and I think you already said this, Brent, if he doesn't do something, if he doesn't produce, if he's not responsible for at least one run on that board, then we're a little bit less confident for 2 and 3.
I would really, really like them to put up a crooked number in the first inning tomorrow and get that crowd and keep that crowd going, because we said Yankee fans can be fickle, and all of a sudden I know you're paying $2,000 and $3,000 a seat, but it wouldn't surprise me if in the fifth inning and things were falling apart, people start leaving, and because they can be a bit fickle, and they got to put up a crooked number, get a lead, and hold on to a lead for a while. And I'm like, yeah, you don't want to fall down 3-0. We all have them 2004, and now we're going to bring that one up again. But it's not impossible, but it's impossible. They have to win. They have to win tomorrow night. Flat out have to win tomorrow night. If you go down, if you lose and then can get that other game, go to 3-2 and go back to LA, you never know. But going down 3-0, it's just demoralizing to flame. But keep the crowd in it, because that Yankee crowd is going to be wild. Like, there are probably people lined up at Billy's and stands right now for tomorrow night.
Oh yeah, there's no. I would not be surprised in the least. And the thing is, I'm going to talk directly to the fans right now. If you're leaving in the 5th, 6th, 7th inning, who are you? Are you really a fan? We had an ironclad rule in my house, and here's why it happened. It was in the 70s, so my father was still taking us to the games, and yes, I just aged myself. I don't care. And my father hates traffic, and we were down miserably in the 7th inning. He's like, he wanted to get a jump on traffic. The game was over. And guess what? We're in traffic. We're not even out of the parking lot. And the Yankees came all the way back. And who did he have? His 3 daughters in the back seat, giving him a whole bunch of crap.
I love it.
In that traffic. And thus was born the rule. You got to have that rule. You just don't know. You expect the unexpected always. And we have come back from the worst of deficits. You spent $3,000 and you're going to walk if we're not producing by the 6th inning. Who the hell are you then? Glad you got that $3,000 to drop.
I've left, because I use, like I said before, I would go there every year. A couple of years I couldn't because of the pandemic, but 2000, I think it was 2015. The Yankees weren't very good, and I was there at the end of the regular season, and they had the Red Sox for their last the last series at the stadium, so I was down there, and it was raining. It was the last game of the week. It was a Thursday night game, and it was raining like crazy. And I stayed until about the 6th. And I said, you know what? The season's over. I'm going to go across to the Yankee Tavern and watch the rest of the game. And of course, the place just packed, just absolutely jam packed. Everybody doing the same thing I did, right? So I was having a few beers and talking to Johnny, the bartender there, and about the 9th, because the Yankees were losing when I left, and about the bottom of the 9th, bases loaded, Yankees were down by 3, and I leaned up to Johnny. I said, "Geez, Teixeira if he ties into one here, the Yankees going to pull this off." And sure as shit, Teixeira hits a home run, and the place
Yep.
just went bananas. Just absolutely. And I'm glad I was at. It's actually one of my favorite Yankee Stadium memories. If not even being in the Yankees, I wasn't in the stadium.
Let us back in. We want to come back in.
It was so great, and then somebody had Sinatra queued up with a jukebox right away. So it was a lot of fun. So yeah, it's those things that you remind. And hopefully we have some moments. Speaking of that, hey, it's a good segue. Look how this turned out. Favorite Yankee moment, either live or away at the stadium. What's your favorite Yankee postseason moment? Actually, you know what? Doesn't have to be a postseason. Your favorite Yankee moment is something you saw live, something you saw on TV, something. It doesn't much matter.
My favorite Yankee moment was David Cohn's perfect game. And I saw it live on TV. I wasn't in the stadium, but and I had seen in in the 70s and 80s some form of it, and certainly, then there were the Welleses, etc. But I was and still am a huge Girardi fan. And just that moment when Cohn just dropped to his knees, still gives me the chills. It's really hard to pick one when you're a fan since 1974. I wish you had given me 10 to name, but to me, that was and that was really my favorite Yankee moment. There's just the way it carried the team after that as well. And so happy for David Cohn, because he really is another one. I don't understand why he hasn't been given more glory for his career. But
that's a good point. Like that's a really good. He was good for a lot of teams. Like he was good for the Jays up here. Good in Kansas City. Good for the Mets. He's good for He was. He's a great broadcaster. I love when he's on.
Yes.
He's fantastic on Yes. No, he should get a lot more credit than he does. Like I think he gets credit, but not nearly enough. Maybe that's our Yankee fandom talking a little bit, but no, man. Yeah, he was something else. There's no getting around that. And that perfect game. It's on Yogi Berra Day and the whole thing that it all turned out.
Yep.
Favorite player not named Mattingly or a core 4 member? Because every time I ask, everybody goes, "Oh, Jeter, Mattingly." Let's do something a little bit different. Who do you got?
Okay. Oh, this is really hard. Also, my favorite player of all time, and it's not hard not to use those names, by the way. Again, showing my age here. I'm gonna go with the capital C, boldface capital C captain Thurman Munson, who
Nice.
I did have the opportunity to see live several times as a kid, and I remember how shook I was when we lost him, and Thurman is the captain you want, because, and really the captain we haven't seen since. Because Jeter was quite the gentleman. Mattingly was also walked a line, and we've said enough about Judge with that. But Thurman had grit and balls.
A Bronx fight to him.
Yep. And when in the clubhouse he was dressing people up and down and halfway to Sunday after a bad game, and he was a leader, and a different kind of leader, and also let's not ever say that he wouldn't have been on the Hall of Fame on his own merits of his entire career. He was a Hall of Famer, in my book, just by the numbers before he left the earth. So Thurman, and and there's 3 more behind him, but Thurman would be the first slot.
No, there you go. We'll get to predictions here of how this is all going to turn out in half a second with the Yankees and what your thoughts are. Actually, let's do that right now. Take a little break, and we got to do a little section we always have on the podcast, and we call 5 easy questions. Can't get them wrong, in my opinion, but you can get them wrong.
You didn't tell me there'd be a quiz.
It's really easy, Lynn. Trust me.
Okay.
You don't need to prepare. It's the 1420 podcast.
Right on a curve.
It's quite simple. Prediction time. Can the Yankees come back? Can they pull this off? What's your thought? Is what can happen? What's got to happen? It's a race to 4, 2-0 right now. What's your prediction? Can they make this work?
So my prediction before the series started was Yankees in 6. The only thing I'm changing about that is I do think it's going to be Yankees in 7 because of the way we started. I'm going to manage my expectations. It's a big thing of mine. You do that. You prepare for the worst and hope for the best. I don't know. I don't think that we will sweep these 3. And so Yankees in 7, we're still going to take it. But we always knew that this was going to be a long, dirty slog to the trophy. And it just got a little bit longer and sloggier because of these first 2 games. And, we're outmatched by the Dodgers in so many ways, but we also have been unproducing in unexpected ways. And that stopped in LA. So that's my prediction.
It's like they really should have won game 1 managerial, and we talked about it already how that one. Yeah. And lastly, they had a chance to pull it off in the 9th and just didn't, and that's how baseball is. But I still have confidence in this team that's going to get something done. I think that they're going to put up a crooked number early and often in the first inning tomorrow night against Walker Buehler. It's very tight pants. I think the Yankees are going to find a way to pull this one off, especially tomorrow night back in the Bronx. And I think it's going to go. They're going to win the next 2. And I agree. Winning 3 in a row at any time is hard. Winning 3 in a row against Chicago White Sox can be tough. Like even Chicago lost 121 this year, but winning 3 in a row at any time is really, really tough. So I expect the Yankees to be down 3-2, going back to LA. But I think the Yankees are going to find a way to win this one. I still have maybe that's just my homer thoughts and everything else. But I just really think that they're good enough. It's been a while, and the Dodgers are like the Braves. Haven't done anything. The Dodgers have been winners of the National League West for how many years? And they have that 2020 3-quarter World Series. It counts. I get it. But they've been right there forever. And haven't done anything since 88. Right? So I maybe they're exactly the same as the Braves were. Who knows? I don't know. That's just.
I'll go with that.
Yeah. Throw enough crap on the wall, and something's bound to stick eventually, right? It's one of those things.
Yeah, it seems to be Boone's entire managerial approach.
Yeah. Take a little break here from get a ad from our friends from Righteous Felon Jerky and come back with 5 easy questions for Lynn. Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at righteousfelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon Jerky. Thanks to Righteous Felon Jerky for being a sponsor for Belly Up Sports and the 1420 podcast. Use promo code Belly Up for 15% off for the best jerky in the land over there at righteousfelon.com. 5 easy questions, Lynn. You can't get them wrong. I promise you. You can't get them wrong.
During the commercial.
We'll go easy. You did some studying, I hope, between your ears. That's all you got to do. You ready to go? 5 easy ones.
Lay it on me.
What do you put on your hot dog?
Oh, okay. I'm already failing. I put both ketchup and mustard.
That's fine. I put all the jalapenos, onions. I put it all in. I load
and
it right
cheese. And cheese. Yep.
Yeah.
Cheese dog with ketchup and mustard.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. And if I'm dirty dogging it on the streets in New York, then I got to have the onions.
Nice. There you go. I like those dirty dogs in New York City. There's no getting around that. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
No.
You're 2 for 2. Do you button your shirt or jersey from top to bottom or bottom to top?
Top to bottom.
That's wrong.
What?
No, you're right. So yeah, you do this. No, you're right. Top to bottom. Yeah, you're right. 100%. You're right. You're right on that.
You scared me.
Coolest Yankee memorabilia merchandise, something that you have, the one you have. Coolest one.
This one right here. And this is my Cy Young bobblehead Garret Cole.
There you go, Garret Cole. Waits to start on Friday night. He'll get another one. Game 4. He'll be back out there.
Yep.
Last one. First concert you ever went to?
Oh, Forest Hill Stadium in Queens, Genesis.
Really?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
And anyone that knows Forest Hill Stadium in Queens, a small venue, seeing Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins so close I could touch their noses. Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. Lynn, this was a lot of fun. I had a great time. Like I watch your guys' show on Sunday morning. It's Yankee talk. You get a lot of people chiming into your comments in the chat and thing, and you really engage your viewers and listeners. I think you guys do a fantastic job. This is a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. And this has been a blast. And really just what I needed is just to have the conversation and be a guest on your show and really getting to meet you and get to know you some, Brent, has been really delightful. I really thank you for having me.
You know, hopefully, by next Sunday, the Yankees are World Series champion 7 days from now, and Game 7 will be next Saturday night. So you never know what could happen. Tell everybody, our listeners and viewers, where they could find your stuff and what you got going on.
So I'm at Pinstripes2824. If you're on Twitter, it will never be X to me. Upper Deck goes live at 11 a.m. on the Pinstripe Chronicles channel. Pinstripe Chronicles, Rob, Donald, and Tats, don't miss them Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. And please go there and like and subscribe us. Hit that bell for us. And hit the bell right here if you haven't already. If you're not subscribing to Brent and his show, I don't know what you're thinking about. So make sure you do that and hit those likes for him.
You were nervous about 5 easy questions. See how easy those were?
I love that I could still ace a quiz at my age.
There you go. Like you can't get them wrong. There's some like, there's times I'm like, oh, that's not the right answer, but whatever. Lynn, this is a lot of fun. We'll have to get together again. Hopefully, when the Yankees are World Series champions, we'll collaborate later on.
Yeah, and we definitely want you on as well. And we'll be in touch with you to do that also. So thank you again so much.
Okay, Lynn, thank you. Have a great night and go Yankees.
Go Yankees.
You just listened to the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. For Beer with Sports Talk and a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Let's get into it.